Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Everton 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3. Another defeat for Everton. What a way to start the new year. Start as you mean to go on. That's what I say. No, another bitterly disappointing afternoon for Everton. This team, Rafa Benitez and all his new signings.
5th year on the run. We've lost the opening game of the new year. So a few managers have
Groundhog Day.
I found that it's very difficult to win this first one.
Yeah.
This one I feel like we massively played our own part.
Yeah, hugely.
In losing this game. The manager being the main culprit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we need to talk about that starting lineup. Obviously, positive to have Dominic Calvert-Lewin back, really big positive after obviously him being out for 4 months, team being out for 2.5 weeks, which meant a good chance to get people back and get a team a lot closer to what we want. But the manager, for some reason, decided to come up with some wacky-ass formation. And to play Seamus Coleman at left wing back borders on negligent as far as I'm concerned. Digne was back on the squad. He was on the bench, but listening to his comments after the game, it just felt like an exercise in, I don't know, winding us up, winding the player up, making it known to everybody what the situation was, making everyone aware of who was in charge, and to the detriment of the team, to the detriment of winning 3 points. There's proven listen, no problem with proving a point. You know, it happens. Seen Thomas Tuchel do with Lukaku, fair enough. But there's ways and means, and we didn't have to play with 5 at the back yesterday. We didn't have to play with Seamus Coleman playing at left wing back. We certainly didn't need to play John Joe Kenny right back. So I'm still baffled by that. I'm still if anyone says to me, Rafa Benitez should be sacked, and I say, show me the evidence, and he showed me that team, I'd go, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I've got no problem with that. And I still can't. The words Seamus Coleman left wing back, honestly, those words just don't go together.
No. I think the last time he played left back was on his debut at Benfica, and he got destroyed. But he got destroyed by good players.
Yeah.
That night he was a very young lad. It was embarrassing, to say the least. Obviously, like you say, we knew Dominic Calvert-Lewin will probably start the game. So you were waiting for the team news to come out. I didn't expect Digne to be in the starting 11. I'll be honest. I think Everton are probably protecting that sale now. I think it's inevitable he's leaving the club. I think that Everton want it done as quickly as possible. It's up to whoever, Newcastle, whoever it is. And if he goes to Newcastle, then I think
he's not going to Newcastle.
No, but I'm saying if he did, it'd tell you all about the player, as far as I'm concerned. But if whoever it else is, put the money up and get him out the door, because it's making another issue when we don't need other issues. The manager's quite clearly, like you just said, trying to prove some kind of weird point. So if you don't want to play Lucas Digne, then just leave Ben Godfrey there, because the lad who's played there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand. I'd rather see Digne playing, of course I would, because he's one of our better players. But if he doesn't want to play him in case he gets injured, because we need the money, then just leave the lad who's played there, though. Leave Ben Godfrey at left back.
There was no tactical reason to play 3 at the back yesterday.
No.
The Chelsea game, fully understand, limited players, playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
You play 5 at the back, fine, understand, we got a point out of it. Brighton at home. There was no need for it. Ben Godfrey, left back. Seamus Coleman, right back. Mason Holgate, Michael Keane, centre backs. It's not ideal, but what it does is it makes it nice and simple for players who clearly need things nice and simple for them. Said it in the match preview, first 25 minutes was going to be tough because we hadn't played for a couple of weeks and they like to keep the ball. So why make it harder for players? Why make it... First, I'm watching the first 10 minutes thinking, none of you know what you're doing. The manager has made it overly complicated.
That in a lot of games.
The manager's made it overly complicated where there's no need to. The problem with Brighton is the middle of the park. So you've took a player out the middle of the park, or you haven't even put one in there for most games, and you've basically said, well, we know there's going to be a problem, so we'll stop it right at the far end. No, stop it at the source. Win the battle in midfield. Most games in the Premier League now won in midfield, and this fella doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand that. For most games, he leaves us 2 against 3, and yesterday it was 2 against 4. And it was dead easy for them. They just got hold of the ball, got control in the centre of the park. It was dead easy. The full-backs pushed on, and they took over on the edge of the box, and they started getting... And that's where the goal comes from. Just getting a bit of control in midfield, 2 minutes in, getting it wide, getting the box. One of those lads runs off. Michael Keane leaves a nice big fat space for him. Lad runs in, and it's a goal. And it's just like... Because why? Because you haven't got control in midfield. You haven't started the game, like we've said so many times, where you say, get a grip at the game first, and we'll go on from there. No, he thinks that Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray are somehow going to get hold of the game. Yeah, at the same time, a wide. Fella hasn't got a clue. Fella does not understand modern football. I honestly thought he would when he came, because I thought he's a student of the game. Fella hasn't got a clue. The fella is trying to almost prove a point of saying, oh no, this old style football is better than this. No, you're wrong, mate. You're wrong. This is how modern football is played now. You get control of the midfield, and then your fullbacks get high, and they take the ball, and it allows your wide, the wide players or players playing through the middle.
You're talking about modern football. It's something Moyes was doing in 2011, 12, 13. We'd have older midfield with 3 men in midfield, now 2 fullbacks at bomb up. Only we never need a 5 at the back. You play 5 at the back against a team that has 1 striker. Okay, they play with 2 men off it, but three defenders can cope with that. Brighton knock it round. We know that. They don't do anything different. Yeah. They do it the same day 1 to day 38 in the Premier League. We know that. I wasn't as impressed with them yesterday as what I have been in the past, but they done what they had to do. I was very surprised when I looked at the possession. Actually, there was 2% in it, because I would have said before the game, these will have 68%, because they like the ball. They didn't really control it the way I thought they would. But that not having a go, Brighton, they did what they needed to do, and they looked far more comfortable on the ball than we did. We had a lot of the ball and didn't know what to do with it. But that formation that he played was baffling. It was nonsense. It was absolutely stupid to play. I'm not even having a go at John Joe Kenny, because it wouldn't have bothered me if he'd started right back and Coleman wasn't in the team, to be honest with you, because I thought Kenny done all right yesterday. It wasn't great, not at all. Done okay. But playing Seamus at left back, the lad this season is struggling at right back in some games, and then you're putting him on the opposite side. He can't even sit in a flat back 4 because of the formation, where he can just sit and protect. He's been asked to get forward, because that's where your wits come from. You said something before we started recording. We had wingers as well as wide of 3 at the back. There was no space for him to do anything. Not that he's gone to, but there was no space anyway.
There was times when Seamus Coleman would have the ball on the left, and Anthony Gordon would be literally standing right next to him in the same space. It's like, what are you doing?
Or Gordon would go to left back.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you need a player there.
And then Gray had come out. It was nonsense. And the first goal was ridiculous. But we will look at the first goal now. But that starting formation, Brighton at home, we'd won 1 game in 12. And we're playing 5 at the back. We should have gone. And I'm not being there. I've seen a Brighton fan was like, it's only Brighton. I didn't say it was only Brighton, but I'm saying Brighton at home. Well, if you're watching if you're watching Brighton fan, I would say this about most Premier League teams. We are at home. Yeah. The onus is on us. We shouldn't be playing with 5 at the back.
It's about being aggressive. It's about coming out and being aggressive.
Of course it is.
There was a stat yesterday saying, Everton have about scoring in the first half. Everton scored
The lowest score.
75% or whatever it was in the second half. Why? Because we come out
We've
first
scored
half.
5 goals, I think, in the first
We come out
half.
in the first half, and we're slow and we're ponderous, and we say to the opposition attackers, and they did. And we should be aggressive. The players are not aggressive. They just sit and they let the game just build slowly while the opposition are like, Sam will take advantage of this. And that's all they did. They just got hold of the ball and it was doing what they do naturally, which is pass it round. And it was just dead simple. Third man run.
We've seen this though. He's done this at Wolves. You know, I won't forgive him for hanging Gabamon out to dry that night. You know, the lad's come back after 2 years. We don't know whether he's good enough or he isn't. I know you're saying, well, every time I've seen him, he's not. Well, he's not gone to, is he? Played once and then he's back off the pitch. And he gets a minute in one game and 3 minutes in the other, or 15 minutes at Chelsea. The lad's never going to get any rhythm.
No,
He's not being given an opportunity. No. And yet you can give him an opportunity by putting him in a midfield with another 2 players. At Wolves, who keep the ball and have 3 midfield players, he went with the fella that is ill-disciplined at times in Allen. And when I say ill-disciplined, I mean he leaves his position. I don't mean he's kicking everyone. And he had the fella that hadn't played for 2 years, and that was his midfield too, that night. Other times, you know, Watford at home, where we're winning 2-1, but we're losing the midfield. Throw another midfielder on to win the game. Doesn't. We get beat 5-2. And he went yesterday. Now, the first goal, let's have a look at the first goal, because it's the still here. And you can see here, we've got the line going across. Now, when it actually come up, you know, the VAR, I couldn't believe why they were looking at it, because I see McAllister make that run. I was thinking, well, he's not offside.
No, it was
Maupay. And it was Maupay. But just looking there, Michael Keane is the wrong side when that ball's into it. Michael Keane is in front of Maupay. Maupay's behind him, which straight away is embarrassing. Coleman should close the cross down. We know our fullbacks don't do it. No. So the ball comes in. Decore has left McAllister, who makes the run in. But Keane, by being in the wrong position when that ball's in, can't deal with it. Maupay chests it off. There's a big gap now because Keane isn't marking Maupay or stopping the run. And McAllister runs on and knocks it in. John Joe Kenny's playing him on side, but I don't really think you can be critical of Kenny in that position. But Michael Keane is the key element here because he's the wrong side of the centre forward. If that ball is played round the back of Coleman, it's a tap-in for Maupay because Keane's out of position anyway. Veltman plays it almost behind where he can chest it.
But he can't see him, can he?
A great run. I mean,
can't see him.
I've seen someone having a go at Pickford. I don't really think he could have done. He just made himself big and the lad knocked it under him. It was a good goal from Brighton's perspective, but from Everton's perspective on Michael Keane, it's shocking. And you know, you're 1-0 down after 3 minutes or whatever it was, 4 minutes from not doing basic stuff. We have 5 defenders there. And yet the lads found space. But
that shows you though, that doesn't matter how many defenders you have. If you have a runner from midfield who isn't tracked because you're outnumbered in there, it doesn't matter how many defenders.
What did we say in the preview about 3 midfielders? Where Decore should play? Well, the lad is not comfortable on the ball. We know that. He's all right, but yesterday he was particularly awful on the ball. But he's okay in possession. He's not great. But what his strengths are is covering ground and breaking into the box and making them doing what McAllister did. And yet he's not allowed to because he's got him and Allen. Allen, bless him. I thought he'd done all right yesterday at times. Other times you give the ball away. But there's 2 of them. And Decore knows he can't leave him because we will be outnumbered. So he stays. So you're ruining Decore's game. The reason why Abdoulaye Decore started the season brilliantly was because we had Townsend in there as well who would drop in and help out, and he was breaking forward into the box, and we had a system the way we played with 4-2-3-1, but we had Richarlison and we had Gray, Townsend, and when you've got Townsend and Richarlison in the side, they're both very hard working players. Gray works hard, we had Dom. It was all mashing together nicely. Decore was breaking, but we also had balance. We had Lucas Digne at left back, Coleman at right back. It's almost like he thinks he's still got that makeup of that team. But this personnel's nowhere near the same, and we're 1-0 down, and then you know, I was thinking, well, all right, well, it's early, but we're gonna have to pick this up. But we'd said on the preview, the opening 20 to 25 minutes are crucial. Stay in the game. We huffed and puffed a little bit, and then we give them a second goal, which was a foul, by the way, on Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the halfway line. Dan Burns drags him down. The referee was appalling all day, like properly bad all afternoon. Booked John Joe Kenny for a great tackle and yet allowed Lallana and people like that to kick shite out of us. But Basuma picks the ball up, goes on and waltzes past 3 men like they're not there. They get a corner, and we're terrible off set pieces, and we're 2-0 down, we'll have a look at the corner. So, here's the still off the corner. So the ball's come in, the ball's circled before the front post. The Corey loses the header at the near post. Now just look at Michael Keane. I've circled Dan Burn. Well, there. Dan Burn's he's 6'6", the lad. The biggest player on the pitch. And our biggest player on the pitch goes to mark Mason Holgate and John Joe Kenny.
How does that happen, right? Because look at where that is, right? So you're looking at that. So you've got to think it's a 50-50 between their lad winning the ball or us winning the ball. But it's probably not a 50-50. But you're a defender. You're playing the percentages that are going to go against you because you're a defender. How do you get yourself in a position where there's a man unmarked, not one man, 2 men? And how do you get it right? I was always told by any coach, first of all, goal side. Always goal side. So always goal side. Oh, the other thing, this is what I also don't get about modern football, right? It's what I don't get. Right, so 2 points here. If we have a man up front, they can't have that many players in the box because we'd have 2 would have to go and mark that one player, right?
You don't go 1v1.
Also, why isn't there a man at the back, on the back post? If you're going to have every man in the box, why not have a man? Because, number one, the thing about having a man at the back post is that man can then take the furthest man back if he needs to. But also, he can see everything. How many times did you play in a football game and the fella at the back post was screaming at you to pick someone up or do something because he can see what's going on? They've all been drawn into that.
Yeah.
All of them.
And they've drawn into the flick.
And all he's done is wander to the back post and he just stands there.
But to be fair, Holgate's got a man. So Holgate's picked someone up. John Joe Kenny, I think it is in there as well. He's not marking anyone, but he's just in the middle, which is fine. He's in his own. Michael Keane's the issue. Maupai and Dan Burn have got the tapping at the far post because Michael Keane's left that space. Where if Michael Keane's going, I've got Dan Burn here. Yeah. He's huge. I've got to mark him.
This comes from that. It comes from the lack of trust, I think, in the system. Set pieces were terrible. And yesterday I just looked at thinking, you're just inviting pressure here every time they have a set piece. Yeah. Number one, because we take everyone back. So there was a set piece in the second half. I think it was first half, sorry, because it was at the Goddess seat, where they had every single player, bar the goalkeeper, in our box or just on the edge of the box because they didn't have to. So they're thinking, we can gamble it because these are shite on set pieces. So all that does is put more pressure on our players. And when I see stuff like that, I think to myself, none of the players trust the system because that's when if you trust the system, you all stay where you're supposed to stay. Say you could take that still and you could put it over the second goal at Crystal Palace and it looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Fella at the back post free because they've all been drawn into the ball because none of them trust. None of them trust the system. None of them trust what they're asked to do. If you've got players who do not trust the system, then what's the point in having a system? If I'm going to, we say it all the time, take responsibility. But if a player abandons where he's supposed to be, the whole system falls down. And Everton players, number one, are brain dead. And there's no leader in the back four. And if Michael Keane's abandoned it, then that tells you everything you need to know.
It's Michael Keane who needs to be told what socks to
put on. Said, I look at that and I just think if he had someone standing on the post, you can avert that. Because the fellow on the post would just scream.
I understand that what you're saying, and there definitely is an element. Well, there is an element of that quite clearly that they don't like it. But also there has got to be the responsibility as well. Michael Keane is 28 years of age. He's played for England, whether people think it's right or wrong. He's been at Manchester United. He's played for Burnley. He's played for Everton for a number of years now in the Premier League. Just look around and go, I'm massive. And he's in the box and he's 6'6" and he's by where I am. I've got to mark him. Forget what the manager's saying. I've got to mark this fella. Because if that comes in and I win the header, the manager can have a go at the end if he wants. But I'm clearing my lines. But he's walking. He's doing this. The fella's there. I can't get my head around why you walk away from a fella though who's the danger.
But if you're setting up like that, you drag someone in. You have to drag someone in. You have to say to somebody, come in here and I'll drop off. If that's what you're supposed to be. If we're playing zonal, well, surely that's someone's zone. And now we've conceded against Crystal Palace and against Brighton in exactly the same manner. That's supposed to be someone's zone. The back post is supposed to be someone's zone. So whose zone is it? Is it Michael Keane's? Well, if it is, that's 2 games he's come out of it. It's pathetic. It doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work. So why persist with it? It's not. That's
2.5 weeks since the last game.
If you've got a system that the players can't play, as much as you like it, and it's not working. And I honestly, if you're going to keep everyone in the man in the box there, then you might as well put someone on the back post who's got the eyes to see and go, I can see what's going on. I can, and you said something before. Dominic Calvert-Lewin should be the first man at the post there to deal with that.
Header away, yeah. Best header of the ball.
It's not about. Once he's won that ball, it's danger zone time then. So get the fella. Richarlison would normally be.
Yeah,
he's normally there.
But we've done it for years, haven't we? Where we had the good. Lee Carson's done it great, didn't he? Header away. We've had Rom's done it in the past.
Because you know it's going to be flat.
And it's coming in flat. You've got it. And they had another one, didn't he, that they flicked on and it just went across. And we never dealt with it all day, and it's an issue now. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Wolves, West Ham.
What was like 12 goals or something like that, isn't
it? Watford, Leeds was offered the second ball into the set piece after the second goal. We've seen that yesterday. It's just frequent. You can see the goal, you can see the corner, you think we're in trouble because we just can't deal with it, and we don't know how to deal with it. And we're 2-0 down after 25 minutes at home in a game that we were all looking at thinking it's a tricky game, but it feels like a winnable game to get us going. And you're 2-0 down. And so, okay, if you've set up like an absolute lunatic like he did with that formation, that's the time to abandon it then. It's not working. You're 2-0 down. There's just no pattern of play. Let's change it. Let's drag someone off and go, listen, it's more about the formation than you. Pull someone off. Or if you don't even want to embarrass someone that early, put Godfrey or something in midfield. Do you know what I mean? If you don't want to go, Jonjo, come off, Seamus, come off, put Godfrey in midfield and just go make the extra man in there for now. Let's see if we can get hold of this game a little bit. For 10, 15 minutes. He had players warming up. When it went 2-0, I thought, oh, he's going to change it, at least. And he sat on his hands, and we get a penalty, which was a stonewall penalty. I don't know why the referee didn't give it, and then I don't know why he needed to go and look at it. It was the lad didn't play the ball whatsoever. It was a penalty. Anywhere else on the pitch, he wouldn't have hesitated to give a free kick. It was a stonewall penalty. Dominic Calvert-Lewin blazes, I can understand them seeing people around me, and why did he take it? Well, took it because he's a striker who takes the penalties, and he was eager, to get back in. His last goal was Brighton from the penalty spot, so he's got the chance. My criticism of him is just hit the target. I know he's a big keeper, but if he saves it, see, I'd have gone, because he scored that way last time, I'd have put it the other corner. He's blazed it, it's hit the bar and gone over, and you realise it isn't your day. But the big thing I couldn't get my head around, certainly in the first half and in the second half, but the first half was our game plan seemed to be just whack it up to Dom and hope that he wins it, right? Now that, especially if you're playing 2 in midfield, right? What you have to do is make sure then that Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray are almost right next to Dom to pick up the flick-ons, or one of them has to go past them. Because the amount of times he flicked it on, because he was isolated, they just took the ball on the chest and started again. It was nonsense. So we're not doing one or the other.
No.
We're keeping everyone back, and we've got our centre forward 30 yards ahead on his own at times, and we're whacking balls to him and no one's breaking. It's just...
See, for me, I mean, the game plan, I thought the game plan was slightly different. I just thought it was get it wide and get it into the box more often. But the problem is, when you've got 2 right footers on the left hand side, how you know, you've got Anthony Gordon, yeah, coming inside, or Damari Gay will come inside. But how do you create that space if they know that the fella on that side as well has to come inside as well? And it's terrible on his left foot. I mean, you were saying to me, Seamus Coleman was getting warmed up by using his left foot. I mean, that's Sunday League stuff.
It was like a kid.
So how can he... Number one, he didn't feel like he knew, even though he's a full-back and all he's done is switch sides, he didn't seem to know that all he had to do was run past them and create the opportunity.
Space, yeah.
But they knew if he run past and he was on his right foot, so it'd be easy to defend because he wasn't going to go anywhere. And it's the same on the other side. John Joe Kenny's not a very good footballer just because he's not quick enough. He's not bright enough in possession or out of possession. Everything takes a little bit of time with him. But even with him, Damari Gay doesn't want to go outside. Doesn't want to be. He doesn't cross. So it's on one side. So it didn't work on either side. And all you're doing then is throwing aimless balls into the box. And their centre-back dealt with most of it. Okay, there was a couple of opportunities, a couple of things went over the goalie. There was a shout for a handball. There was a few... But there was nothing where till the second half where Dominic Calvert-Lewin thought, you might get a header on this. There was nothing really. And that's when he was isolated, because there is no run from the midfield. And I'm thinking, if I'm watching this, if I'm the opposition manager, I'm thinking, we should be dealing with this all day. We've got big centre-backs. We've got big lads in there who should be able to deal with this. Second half, they put another big centre-back on in Shane Toffee. Should be able to deal with it because there's no movement, there's no interplay. We're not going through the centre of the park. Whereas they've got two sitting behind our centre midfielders and two sitting in front of our centre midfielders. And our centre midfielders are going, I don't know where to go. Michael Keane and Mason Holgate are certainly not going to step out the back four to look after people. And you're just thinking, these could make goals in different kinds of ways if they wanted to, if they've got the ability. They haven't quite got the ability. But we're only ever going to score goals from the wide positions. Cross, yeah. And you're cutting your options down straight away. And it's the way we play, it's so old-fashioned. And it really does, you really are dependent on everything working out for you, or a worldie going in, which has happened a couple of times, and to me, and I look at it and think, this fella has had enough time to working with, he's had 5, 6, 7 months working with these players on the training pitch every week, every day of the week, set pieces, offensively, defense. I mean, our set pieces offensively, fucking shambles. They're abysmal. I mean, 2 of our corners went straight out yesterday from Anthony Gordon because there's no left footer on the pitch.
But when you're taking a corner like that, it's a flat. Yeah. You hit across the ball.
Get yourself an angle, so you're cutting across it.
It's across the ball.
Which was embarrassing.
Bend. I couldn't get
embarrassing.
Couldn't get.
You've got, so offensively we're terrible on set pieces. Defensively we're terrible on set pieces. 2 things we were good at last year. And you've got a defence that doesn't know whether it's coming or going because it's keeps on messing about with it, changing the personnel. Where you had an opportunity to keep it's fucking all over the place.
At half time, I thought we're 2-0 down. Didn't think it'd take that much to get back into it because a goal changes loads of games. And I thought he'd definitely change it because we can't leave that. You know, we can't leave that as it was. And we come out with the same thing, and you're like, okay, the only kind of thing he did differently in the second half was he put Gordon on the right, which is what we'd said the other day should have been the start anyway. Gordon should always be on the right if Gray's playing, because Gray naturally likes to come in off the left. Do you know what I mean? Gordon's got more I'd say. Damari Gray's good 1v1, quick feet and firing it across the area. Anthony Gordon will bend crosses in, and he put a couple of nice crosses in. He went out wide in the second half, and obviously that's where we got the joy from. In the second half, because he was cutting in, and you know we were.
Damari Gray has been arguably our best player all season, and you move him out of his position. It doesn't make things like that. They're the things when you go to a fan. Oh well, this fella's done this, and you go, I couldn't care less. If you watch a team all season, you know who your best players are, and you know what positions they play in. You don't have to have.
You let them float if anything.
You don't need a UEFA coaching license to know who your best players are and where they should play, or some people just complicate stuff.
We got a goal. We got back in the game. Gordon, good run, shot, Couldn't have come off.
That's what we've been asking
Come
for.
off a nicer person in the line.
That's what we've been asking for. Take more shots, take more responsibility, and he does it. He gets the...
You're in the game, and I thought what I did think was I thought he'd come out and had a go at the second half, and he put Brighton, started flapping. They do concede goals, and we, you know, the opportunity was there. Then when it went 2-1 to equalise, we had half chances. They were flapping a little bit, and there was an opportunity that even though we were on top at the time, and we were still relying on crosses, and you know, Dom almost got on the end of one. He couldn't just get his head around it. He should have then made the change. The modern midfield player, and it might have been Andre Gomez who should have come on then. Or if he really did want to put, you know, the three up front and help Dom out, that should have been the moment after about 65, 66 minutes where they had rode that little spell and he was just getting the foot on the ball a little bit, and we should have just gone, no, we're going to take control of the midfield with the crowd, because I thought the crowd second half tried to stay with the team, especially with Gordon's goal. If he'd have threw on Andre Gomez then, even Gabam warming up, I thought he's going to put a little bit of physicality on then. Him or Gomez, or even on Yango, just to get another body in there to try and cut that. And he just left it. And you go, well, do something then, because we're 2-1 down in a game we've got to win. And our players don't seem to realise that to score, you have actually got to go that way where their goal is. Because the amount of time our defenders get it and turn and just pass it back, to go again, and to go again, and to come back, and then it goes back. But it's not like we're sucking them in to pop it, because we don't. We're not. In the end, it goes back to Pickford, who plays it anyway. So there isn't a pattern of playing it, and that's when he should have gone, right, get another midfielder on, because we are being killed in the midfield. But at least if we put, I don't know, maybe Gomez or whatever in there, or put Gabam in there and go sit, sit, will you, so the Corey can break every now and again. Whoever it may be, do it, and he didn't, he left it, and then they break. Holgate makes a brilliant challenge on the edge of the box, because we've given the ball away. I think it might have been Decore. We've given the ball away and they've broken us. We win it. And Michael Keane's he can step out with the ball and pick a pass, or he can knock it long with his right foot. He just lashes at it with his left foot straight at them and goes in, comes back, and McAllister scores a brilliant strike, which it was. And you're 3-1 down, momentum's gone again. And you're like, you've had the opportunity there to, because this looked like, you know as a fan, and you like to think that fellas who are on £6 million a year and have been in football for years can feel what you can see in the stands. Yeah. But I could see that our momentum had gone at that stage and it needed a change. Everyone around me who've probably watched football for years, Zach said to me early on, why are we playing 5 at the back when they've got one striker? Yeah. He's 10. And then he's going, we need to make a 2-1.
A 2-1. When you've got the momentum, this is like the formation we started with, like we've said, we didn't need to. It was just a load of nonsense. Yeah. So that's it. You go, right, we're going to go forward the back.
And it wasn't like with that formation though, Sanchez was having to pull worldies off because we were right. We just had.
But at that stage, you just go, we're 2-1 down. We've got a bit of momentum. We can get something here. Go back to the back four because he's not really doing anything. Huh?
Get the
Corey into the box. Get him coming off Dom. Got one of the. Dom started to show in the second half. There was a couple of times. There's one come up to him and he was going to flick it, and then he went he took it on his chest and he started to come into the game a little bit more, starting to be himself, dropping into the number 10 a little bit and starting to win things and going, I've got to take responsibility here. And you're thinking, what you need then is an extra man pushing from midfield, and that's all it would have took. Gomez coming on there and going, right, Gomez for John Joe Kenny, and we're not playing some alien formation now. We're players up. We're actually playing our natural formation. Certainly as a back four. Gomez comes on and does what he's done so many times into midfield. Becomes that extra man. Fella who wants to take the ball, have a little bit of responsibility. Alan, the Corey pushing on, and suddenly you've got what we do. That's what we do quite regularly. We've done that quite regularly, and it's got us. Burnley, points, Arsenal. It's got us points in games. Think about Gomez when he came on, and how important his run was to get the ball to Gray. they're looking at other players. Decore, I think it was it Decore set Richarlison up for the goal that was disallowed against Arsenal in the second half.
Yeah, with the flick.
Because he pushed further forward. Yeah. And that's all it would have took at that stage. And he didn't. And what happens is you just had the momentum drained away. They get up the field. It's a great goal. It's 3-1. And you're thinking, you've just... And then he wonders, and we'll talk about the second goal, but he wonders why people booed the sub after we'd scored the second goal. Because if you'd done that earlier and it had been the right sub, we'd had a lot more time to get ourselves back into this game.
He made me laugh because he stood up and then everyone's like screaming to make changes at 2-1. And he's got his little piece of paper, his poster stamp piece of paper, and then he kicks the floor when it goes in to make it 3-1. And you're like, all right, you might be frustrated at Keane, just give the ball away for no reason. But if you'd have actually managed this, where you've got Graham Potter stood 5 yards away from him, making subs as the game's going on, managing the team. He's up and he's coaching, and you know what? It's just it's so frustrating because
you're kicking the floor, but guess what, mate? We are, but you're the only one who can do something about this.
We can't do anything,
we can't
and we can see it.
We can see it coming, and
ironically, we then score a really good goal. Dom, you know, Gordon ball into Dom, does well. John Joe Kenny makes it get. That's the good thing about Kenny. He makes them runs. He's all the give and go, isn't he, John Joe?
I think that goal was a really good illustration of what we've been missing up front.
Yeah,
someone coming off
back to goal,
playing a lovely little
ball,
seeing the centre back and the full back. John Joe Kenny does the right thing, just puts it straight back in. Something which we've been critical of Seamus Coleman not doing enough. And
a great run.
And it's a great run from Gordon, and he deserves his goal. And you're back in it, and then the sub comes and he goes for Rondon, and
wasn't the right sub. He's crap. He's just got nothing about him. That's the I'm now starting to think when he come and bullied us, he was bullying Holgate, wasn't he? And now you're starting to look and go, maybe that was the issue. But he done well at Newcastle. And when he come in, you thought, he's not a bad sub for 15 minutes in the end. It just doesn't
But even that though, like, why not make a couple of subs?
Yeah. If you're putting them on, help him then, put someone else on. We didn't. He took Kenny off. You know, it's just bollocks. It's nonsense.
Let's just Gordon again. Let's just look at Gordon's number, because obviously 2 goals, really, really bittersweet day for him.
Yeah.
2 goals, you know, shots on target 3, key passes 1, successful dribbles 50%.
Won the penalty as well.
Won the penalty and nearly
should have equalised.
Nearly got himself a hat-trick. A little bit more on it.
That
was the one moment Rondon actually did something well, but just never got quite enough on it. But bittersweet day for the lad, because again we talked about him after the Chelsea game, taking responsibility, and he's starting to look and feel more like a Premier League player. And we said it before, and started having shots cut in, and he got a little bit of luck. And then the second goal is brilliant, and it's a good finish, it's a good move, and it's bittersweet for him because and I think I've seen his stats. He's the first player to score 2 in a game for Everton for. It's been a while anyway.
Last season, was it?
So, you know, it's just sad for him, because you can see how much it meant to him, and it.
He's carrying him and Gray are carrying the team at the moment, aren't they? They ran the socks off. You know,
but as I said,
we had opportunities. You know, we had a couple of moments where.
Well, there was one where Gray.
Someone should have threw.
Gray played that ball, didn't he? The ball he likes to play, and Don got there, and the lad just come across and got a toe. It was in.
It was in. Yeah, it was going.
And you could
block,
you know, maybe with a little bit more sharpness, Don would get there just a little bit quicker or put a little bit more on it. But it was one of those ones where we've been crying out for, the tapping, and Don was there, and
we had the corner as well where it ricocheted and dropped down. You were waiting for someone to lash it in the net, and they got a foot in, and
never does for us. But let's just look at Dom's numbers, because he was back, and you know, okay, he missed the penalty. Shots on target 1, shots off target 2. Duels 1, 50%, touches 26. I mean, disappointing for the penalty. I mean, like you said before, I would just like him to have just. He was doing this. That's how he takes penalties, and I'm sure a lot of it comes down to muscle memory. And it was just that on the day he hadn't had that many touches so far in the game, and it would have maybe should have just gone. You know what? I'm just gonna find the corner. But that's muscle memory. That's how he scores penalties, and that's you know, if you've got an idea in your head, you go with it. But second half, he came into it and he started the setup for the goal. He started looking a little bit brighter. He's got 90 minutes under his belt, and I feel a lot better for that. At least that was a positive to come out of the game. That I feel like straight away, well, not straight away, but certainly in the second half, he started to look sharper and start to do things that we haven't seen from players who've been playing up front. A lot more mobile, and the ball for the second goal. So at least that's a positive to come out of the game, that he's back. So it's not ideal to lose a game, but it's good to have him back.
He's a focal point, isn't he? You know, he's exactly what we need. He's great in the air. He's mobile. You know, like you say, second half he started taking it down on his chest. And if you've got runners off him, he's a threat, isn't he? We've just got to create chances for him, and we know he can put the ball in the net. But him and Gordon were the big pluses from the day, and just he didn't have a great game. Don't get me wrong.
No, but
he had a 43% passing accuracy. But that's what happens with centre forwards, because they are trying flicks, or the passes sometimes won't come off. But just having him back with the 90 minutes, getting that 90 minutes, I'm sure he'll be stiff for a few days after that. But
he's a fit lad.
Well, yeah, but still, it doesn't matter when you're playing 90 minutes for the first time in 4 months. It's a tough one. You know, the first time since Leeds, isn't it? He only lasted 68, I think, at Brighton. So it was great to have him back, but it's, you know, hopefully, well, he will get better, of course. The penalty was a massive disappointment, of course, because he'd scored that. It was just after half an hour with 2-1. We may well have got back into the game, but you know, he had a pre-assist, didn't he? I guess, if you call it that, for John Joe Kenny's ball to Gordon. Having him back in the team makes us better, theoretically, if the manager starts actually stop trying to be too clever, then we might actually get better. But
well, obviously we've got a left back coming into the team. I mean, how long it'll take him to settle, or how many games he gets. Same on the right side, looks like a right back's coming in as well. But again, it's not a case of he's not going to just go straight in there, because he's a young lad and he hasn't played a lot of games. And
the good signing them.
Good signing, yeah. The good signing.
It seems to be good
both
signings.
Good signings, but not necessarily just, you know, plug and play players. They are going to take a little bit of time, and that's where. But fella makes it so hard for him, and he makes it so hard, you know, to like him. And that's the problem. And then it gets, you know, seen.
What would you do? I mean, at people, I didn't even go on Twitter last night, but I had about 20 messages from people saying, you know, sack him. You can't disagree. One win in 12 is embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
It's absolutely won one game since the 25th of September. It's January. So it's embarrassing. It's the worst run I can remember in watching Everton. And I've seen some god-awful Everton sides. I've seen Everton sides with far less talent than this team. Yeah. Technically, be a much better side by work rate, by being well drilled, by putting everything into it. The problem I've got with Rafa Benitez being Everton's manager is, no, people aren't ever going to get behind him. It's never going to happen. And people are not going to get behind. He'd have to win a trophy. We've said before, this season had to almost be perfect in terms of Everton winning every other week is something.
No, I agree.
Building a little bit of momentum and letting everyone just go, you know what, this fella's all right. We don't like him, but he's all right. Let him get on with it. It's going the other way. When he does things like yesterday, it just makes you go, why are we persisting with it? Now, people are saying, like, what would you do? Who do we get? Seeing after people message him, just give it to Dunk. Duncan is an option, of course, but what would we do? Who do we get? Do we give it to Dunk and go, get us through the rest of the season while we plan in the summer, and then let's get the right man in the summer. If it's Dunk, great. If it's someone else, great. But think about it. Don't panic. But I don't know what we do.
The thing about it is, number one, like yesterday, that formation was a joke. Like I don't care who you are. No one can tell me that team made any sense. It didn't make any sense.
You can't play left wing backs with a right footed player.
Seamus Coleman's playing left wing back. He's not comfortable on his left foot, and it was completely wrong. He should play the flat back forward with a lad who has played left back.
Kind of knows what he's doing.
Dead simple. But the other side of the game is the players don't work hard, And I don't give a monkey's what anyone says. They do not work hard. They cheat. They do not run for us. They do not press people. They do not get in people's faces. They just stroll around the pitch. So therefore, what are you doing? What are you asking of your players? Because they don't work hard for us.
Is that a player? Is it a player issue, or is it the manager?
Well, it's both, isn't it? Because what the set pieces to me are the biggest illustration that the players don't trust the manager because they do not believe in what. Look at any manager, look at any player from a team that's successful, right? When it's all, look how they run through brick walls for the team, for the manager. Look how they believe. Look at even when it's not going right, they continue to do the things that they believe in. You know, they don't change. You know, Manchester City in the last minute of a game, or that when the ball goes up, don't suddenly go, lads, we're just going to knock it forward. They keep doing what they believe in because they believe in it. It doesn't matter if things are going wrong. You know, them lot will continue to do what their manager has asked them to do because they all believe in it. They buy into it. Then the fans buy into it. Our players don't buy into it, or they don't look like they buy into it because and I just think set pieces the biggest illustration. But you mentioned the way you're leaving players out to dry. You're leaving your centre midfielders out to dry because you're asking them to play against 3 and then 4 in some games, and you wonder why the core is going boom, boom, boom. You wonder why Alan is running around going like that. And you wonder why in the last minute of games, the Corey's not get. The Corey isn't number 8. He's not a defensive midfielder. No. What are you doing? Anyone can see that. Someone who doesn't watch football, if they'd watched him ever play, knows that he's the kind of fella who picks up the ball in the final third and drives with it, or the halfway line and drives with it. And you're saying to him, no, we're going to play his. He's not. That's not what he does.
Ancelotti did it last year too, and that's why he wasn't.
That's not what he does. You play him in a 3. You play someone behind him, and you let him drive forward. Certainly in the last final.
Alan doesn't even
20 minutes of the game, does he? But also though, these players are cheats because they don't get out to crosses. They don't put their bodies on the line. They don't put blocks in. They don't. You know, look at the second half of the Arsenal game. Look at the second half of the Spurs game. Players giving it extra, getting in, something little bit extra, gets the crowd going. Yesterday, it's just stroll, and then at times, sometimes picking it up the pace up. Watch the best teams. Watch not even the best teams, just some teams who want to be the best teams. Bang, 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 all over the pitch.
The Bayern Munich documentary. And
all over the pitch. Levels. All over the... You don't have to be a good player to work hard.
No.
But if you don't work hard, you'll never be a good player.
No.
It's as simple as that. And these players...
got it up in Finch Farm.
These players...
hard work beats talent when the talent doesn't work.
These players are cheating us. Yeah. And they don't believe in what the manager... So straight away, there's a fundamental problem. When people say, you can't sack the manager. But the players don't believe in him. And yes, the manager...
We're getting done from both sides because the manager hasn't created an environment that people want to buy into. It's the results. I've seen Jamie Carragher's comments, and it was Benitez plays winning football. That's what he plays to win. No. Yeah, let me finish. Plays winning football. He said, but if you don't win playing that type of football, things can turn. So you have to win.
You have to win.
You have to win because it's not very good, the type of football. Our players aren't believing in it. Our fans don't believe in it. Some of the other sides of that is our play. We've got players on comfortable contracts, big contracts, who don't give a shit.
No,
really.
They
don't. Some do, some don't. There's a malaise there. And when there's a malaise there, if you're a player and you're running your bollocks off, and yet your mate alongside is not running his bollocks off, pretty soon you start thinking, fuck you, I'm not doing it then, you're not doing it. And we've seen this
is where the Dean situations come from.
I
know, but that's... I'm not saying what Dean's done is right, Baz. What I'm saying is this is where the situations come from.
Of course.
It's come from a player not agreeing with the manager, and then this is what happens.
And it spreads through.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's a manager that players like, or fans like, players then tend to go, well, all right, well, it is me against everyone then. I don't like this fella, but everyone else seems to like him, so I either have to do it. Players have played for managers before that they don't like, and have been good players, because they know that. But if players see that something isn't working, and managers don't want to turn it, we've seen, when we spoke to Distan and people like that, Pienaar, and it was like, we knew Martinez, it wasn't working. We were telling them, but he was well liked, but we knew that it was, you know what I mean? Rafa Benitez hasn't got this, but the other thing as well is this board. It comes back to our board as well. Rafa Benitez is what he is, right? There was, people didn't want him in the summer, and we understood that, right? A lot of Evertonians give him, just went, well, he's here. We said the same, he's here. Let's give him a go and see whether he can do anything. And it's getting harder and harder to make an argument for him to stay. But on top of that, our board, who should have sorted that in the summer and said to the owner, we're up against it here. This doesn't go right. We're up against it. What are they doing now? Half of the board have gone. The director of football's gone. Other people in the recruitment team have gone, rightly or wrongly. I'm not saying it was the right decision, the wrong decision. But what are the board now saying to the owner? Because the owner is in Monaco. He's not Goodison. You can see whether the crowd like Benitez or not. He might pick the pay, whether he watches Everton anymore, I don't know. But he might just get a text or whatever, or he watches it and goes, oh, we've lost again. What are the board reporting back? Are the board saying, this fella's not got a clue? And I've seen Gillan Ballaghay was on saying that signing these two players at Everton, that the club are right behind them. I'm not convinced with that, because the two lads we're signing are both long-term signings for Everton Football Club. They're exactly the decisions the club should be making, regardless of who the manager is. Really, aren't they? I understand that we've got no director of football and the manager's here. Yeah,
but the problem is though with that those signings are, and you're absolutely right, they are long-term signings. But so what's happened is the paperwork just been left on someone's desk that, you know, Mr. Brand's put together or something, or whoever. Has that just been left on someone's desk and said finish that off? Because obviously the manager wants them, but like there's no one there, there's no one left. Everton are in a period now where there is nobody left. You've got a chairman who, forget everything else about him, right? You've got a chairman who clearly does not like the manager.
Oh, without a shadow,
and has been reported to have said that openly to people.
Yeah.
You know, he's not my manager. Yeah. I've told you who I wanted, right? Yeah. You've got a CEO who really, I'm not having a go at her. Her job is not to like the manager or dislike the manager or whatever. Her job is to run the football club. So she's sort of like, I've got to get this stadium built, and and that's fine. I have no problem with that. If she's good at a job, she's good. If she's not, she's not. That doesn't really affect. So you've got a fella whose job it is to report back to the owner if the owner's not really keeping an eye on it, who doesn't really like the manager. You've got a chairman, wherever he is, whether he's in Monaco or America, sitting there going, oh, hang on. I've put everything on this and I've sacked all these people. Am I going to do this again? And I've got this stadium that needs to be built, because if I want my exits out of here, it has to be with the stadium. And then you've got absolutely nobody else. You've sacked your director of football, you've sacked your head of recruitment underneath him, and you've sacked the other fella, and all you've got left then is David Unsworth. So who else is there? The rest are all Benitez's fellas, and there's Dunk. There's nobody else. It's like it's like a school before the kids come back.
There is some recruitment scene, and obviously David Harrison's the head of football operations as well. So he's like, I guess, the faux director of football at the moment. He's doing that role.
But has he got enough in his job?
I don't know.
To push through two signings?
Well, he probably has to push the signings.
No.
I don't know. He won't have enough in his job.
That's what I'm saying.
The manager's not good enough.
That's what I'm saying. So, his job is his job to say, like, say there wasn't a manager. Has he got enough? Would he have enough in his job now to go, well, we're buying these two players regardless? Is it like Slaven Bilic?
Well, exactly. Everton have done it before. Well, we've already got Mikalenko's already here. He's signed.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Patterson will be here this week. Benitez won't get sacked this week. But what I'm saying to you is, what people were saying to me last night was, you know, he needs to be sacked. And someone said, go and get Graham Potter. I'm not sure Graham Potter would want to come near us at the moment.
Need more than a wand.
And what he might need, what he might be the fella to get in is in the summer when if Everton survive, is when you're starting from fresh to get your tactics across. So Duncan might be the only one that can do it right now, unless you can get someone else. I don't know. Maybe Dunk would be the fella to get till the summer, and then you make a more informed decision. I don't know. Or do we just leave Benitez in place? Because I can't. There's other managers, brother managers who gambles as well, aren't they? People are saying European managers. Well, can they come in? And what if the players don't like him then straight off? And then you're coming in again and going, oh, hang on. Ultimately, this Alex Iwobi, I think I'd make him captain.
Ultimately, you've got a situation though where now, and I know it's been.
So do you leave him then?
Yeah, but the problem is the fans don't like him. Yeah. So what a club like Everton needs.
So the board, it's on the board.
So again. what a club like Everton needs to drive us forward, or what most clubs that we're not unique, is unity. Does anybody enjoy going to match?
No.
We've said this and we've said this. No one?
Well, I don't know because I can't speak for everyone.
I don't enjoy going to match.
It's
a chore.
Yeah.
People I go to match with don't enjoy going to match. Everyone I speak to doesn't enjoy going to match. How long can that last for? Right? Where you play shit football, you got to win. Sam Allardyce played terrible football, won his games. The minute he stopped winning games, and we just said to him, go on, we can get Europe.
And play better football.
Play slightly better football, refused to, fans turned on him like that, and that was the end of him, right? You have to play winning football if you play this style. No one enjoys going to match. How long can that last for where you don't enjoy going to match? See, for the first period of this run, I was in the mindset of these players can't pass 5 yards to each other. I'm not blaming him. Then I see a team like that. I see the Palace side. And I go say to myself, but the Palace side was, you're sending this team out to do nothing. And yesterday, it was like a personal vendetta yesterday, it felt like to me. I'm going to tell the world that this fella is trouble. And I'm going to do it by playing by not having Lucas Digne and playing Seamus going left wing back. No, sorry.
But what was
take your personal
when he let Dean warm up? Everyone started.
Take your personal agenda, because we don't need personal agendas at the moment. What we need is unity. What we saw at the end of the Chelsea game, where it was like, we got a point. There you go. That's what we need. These players got us work the bollocks off. That to me is what we need. What we don't need is you front and centre telling the world, lauding it by putting a team out.
Yeah.
This is what has got him into trouble everywhere. This is what people have warned us about. And you go, well, you pay your money, you take your chances. Yes, there was a personal thing. Don't need that at our club. What we need is unity. We haven't got unity off the pitch. People are trying to demonstrate whatever, and other people are having a go at them. We haven't got it in the boardroom. We haven't got a boardroom. We haven't got it anywhere. But what we need right now is, because what other clubs have got who actually are below us is a bit of unity. I look at Newcastle and I think to myself, fans are together, they've got a new board and they're going to sign people, and they're in a position where I look at them and I think, if they stick together, which they will do, well, I look at us and I just think we're pulling ourselves apart here. Yeah. We really are. And the manager's part of that.
I'm frustrated because I just don't think it takes much.
No.
To turn things around, and takes much to get up this league, because it's a very, very average Premier League. Apart from the first three, the rest are much of a muchness. If you get organised, you can get yourself at least halfway up. But you're right, we're
tearing ourselves apart.
We're pulling each other apart because people are arguing, because people see things differently. If it's football, you'll always get that. But when people are so fractious because A, we haven't won anything for so long, B, we don't enjoy watching our team because it's not very good, because we feel like players aren't giving their all. We can't even get behind the manager because people don't like him. The owner's quiet and not interested, it seems, and it's ridiculous, and that's a recipe for disaster, really. and it needs solving, and the board needs to grow some balls and stand up to the owner and say, listen.
Let's just look at the graphic of the average positions for the game, just to basically show you what we were talking about. So look how narrow that left-hand side is for a side that had a winger and a wing-back on, essentially. You know, look.
No. So we just played with no left side then,
So look
really,
how,
didn't we?
just basically look how unbalanced that team is.
It's nonsense.
It's you know, look at where Keane and Godfrey are.
No.
It's
The whole thing's just a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. And you said it before and you hit the nail on the head fully. He's had this...
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not even our furthest before we play, by the way, on that.
No. But he's had since the summer. He came. This isn't a fella that took over in October because we were struggling and he's come in and you've got to let things go. I've said all along, he's been unlucky this season a bit. Well, he has, because we've been decimated with injuries and it stopped us winning games I felt we could have won. We were in a decent little rhythm and we got a load of injuries. But I just think back to games like Watford. I think back to Wolves when he single-handedly threw the game away. Wolves, Palace, like you said the other week. You know, we've seen yesterday. 1 win in 12. You know, we won one game in October, November, December. One game for the first time in our entire history.
Yeah.
We win a game against Arsenal. We then go and throw it away against Palace. We get a decent point at Chelsea. We turn up yesterday and do that because he plays balmy formations. It's 1 step forward and 3 back, and we're in dire straits now. And we go to Hull at the weekend and in the FA Cup, which is a big game for us. And I'm looking at it thinking, BBC R5, it's got cup upset written all over it. You can't even say that this team will approach it the right way because we've seen this team's weak. It's weak, and if the manager continues to play stupid teams and stupid formations, then we are in trouble. So something's got to give. He's got to somehow, I don't know, change the way he is, and he's 60 odd, he's not going to. No, let's just look at the stats from the game. I mean, looking at that, you'd think we were sound. 17 shots to 12, 6 on target for us, 5 for them. 1 big chance, 2 for them. The possession, dead tight. So, which is strange because you would have said they'd have 70%. But a defeat is a defeat, and it's another one. So, grim. There you go. Another bad day for Everton, for Rafa Benitez. What do we do now? Where do we go from here? Well, Hull for a start. And then Leicester next week. Oh, God. Don't. Yeah, at Goodison Park. So, there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Is it time for Rafa Benitez to go? And who would you want? So, short term, long term, whatever, who would you want? Let us know your thoughts. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We're doing this live. We're on Patreon, and we'll continue on Patreon with some more points. So if you're on Patreon, stick with us. If you're not, come and join us on Patreon. Great time to join at the beginning of the month. Great time to join Patreon. Lots going on there. Well, there will be soon. There you go. Thank you for watching. See you later.